Thank you all. Good morning. And thank you for inviting me to speak at this Data Strategy Summit. I'm told all of you are practitioners and professionals and well-informed people about data, so there's very little that I can share with you excepting the experiences that I've had over the last 3 years in government and to share with you some insights on how the government looks at, Government of India under Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji looks at what is certainly a fast-changing, fast-growing, fast-expanding area of data and artificial intelligence that is learning and training off of that data. So first of all, let me just share with you, I think, my perspective on the 2 or 3 key trends that are certainly going to determine future strategies for CIOs, whether you are operating in an enterprise or within the government or any other entity that is dealing with consumers and consumers' data. It is, of course, the fashion of the moment or buzz where everything and every topic is linked to AI and AI is linked to almost every aspect of every conversation on technology. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but sometimes things get mixed up and hyperbole and hype gets mixed up in huge dashes with what needs to be a very clinical analysis of what data means and what AI will mean. So I think there can be a reasonable consensus in this room, and I believe outside the room, that when you talk about artificial intelligence, let's leave ChatGPT and all of those big guys out of the room for a minute. For most enterprises, for most organizations, AI means doing more with less, or just getting more efficient in terms of your business, your operations, your fundamental business models. And so it follows from that, to achieve that goal, to ensure that you are getting more efficient and you are having these ability to have these insights into your business, you need data and you need to be able to train these models with data and good quality data and data that is reliable. So certainly that is one trend that I want to point to, that the businesses of today and tomorrow, the successes of those businesses will be determined a lot by how you harness your data, how you train your models, and how the insight that you have into your business is assisted by artificial intelligence and the models that you have built on the data that you have. So that's one trend, and that is a no-brainer. I think everybody understands that. The second is the data intensity in itself, as India today, and I'm looking at India, not the world in particular, with over 890 million Indians connected and with 1.2, 1.3 billion Indians going to be connected onto the internet by 2026. The digitization of our lives, our economies, our day-to-day activities is just intensifying at a rate that is just absolutely, unfathomable. It is just unprecedented, and countries around the world that look at what is being created in India, the digitization, the pace of digitization, and how the digitization of the consumer, it's not just the enterprise, the digitization of consumer lives is in turn transforming enterprise digital intensity and creating this whole extraordinarily fast-growing data economy is the second trend. The third trend, and again, this is commonsensical, so I'm not there's no breaking news. I'm sure most of you've got that. The third, and I think the most important bit, which may not be as visible or as obvious to most CIOs and those who manage data, is the fact that increasingly there are guardrails that are emerging around how you deal with consumer data. And as somebody who's fought in and outside Parliament for privacy as a fundamental right from way back in 2011, the 2016 Supreme Court judgment that privacy is a fundamental right, and which is fine at a time when everybody is waiving constitutions. You can say, yeah, okay, there's one more fundamental right. But in the digital economy and the digital space, that has a significant bearing on how you deal with data. And the recently passed bill, the Digital Data Protection Bill, by the Government of India and the Parliament of India, lays out essentially those guardrails and the rules of the game and how you deal with consumer data and citizens' data. So that is the third trend. So while there is this almost gold rush for AI and training models with data, and I think the lady said very correctly, these big tech companies have, in a sense, made it a practice of building their very, very transnational, sophisticated models on the back of data from countries that don't know that the data has been used, consumers who don't know that the data has been used to train these models. And these models are therefore being built with great commercial value and great commercial concentration of AI power, without really the biggest stakeholders or the biggest contributors to these models being aware or even sharing in the benefits of those models. So the third trend I want to draw your attention to is the emerging rules that will come out of the DPDP bill, which will certainly lay in a sense, the rules of the game, and in a sense, cast obligations on the enterprises that deal with consumer data on the do's and don'ts of how you can deal with that data. The free for all, in a sense, that I can do anything with the consumer data once the consumer walks in my door, that is poised for, and it is bound to get altered and changed, like I said, with these rules. So if you look at these three, I would present to you that the coming years represent great opportunity and great challenge for those who are in the business of, or in the business of, in a sense, harnessing the power of consumer data and enterprise data to make more efficient enterprises, to make more efficient business models. To share with you a little bit about, apart from the DPDP bill that the government has done in terms of creating the guardrails around the data economy, is the India AI mission. You must have heard about that. The government of India has, Prime Minister has recently sanctioned, just before the elections, about 28,000 crores. And there will be a lot of push, and I don't necessarily agree with many things that Nandan says, but on this I agree, that India's approach to AI will be an approach that is not about competing for the next LLM or who has got the biggest competitor to ChatGPT, but really about building real use cases that will deliver real impact of AI and not necessarily have bragging rights on how many billion parameters and how many GPUs you use. So the conversation on AI tends to go down that road sometimes, but in our case, our government, our Prime Minister is absolutely clear that AI has to be harnessed to the full potential of what is really described as a descriptor of AI, which is that you can do more with less. And therefore, in medicine discovery, in healthcare, in agriculture, in an economy and geography that is as diverse as India, a population as diverse as India, can we use AI, and we must use AI to essentially create these use cases in healthcare, in governance, in agriculture, in education, in security. And to that end, the India AI mission talks about centers of excellence, which will be a partnership between startups, academia, the government of India, and capital from the government of India, and of course, the industry at large. So I would end, I don't have very much more to say, excepting to say that I'm a passionate evangelist of technology by and large, but I can with great responsibility tell you that the most exciting time around data, the data economy and AI in India is going to be the next 2 to 5 years. And that if you think you've read the last word about AI or you've read the last word about data, and you pick up these magazines and you hear about it in the US or you hear about it in Europe, I think not. I think the most exciting stuff is going to come out of our ecosystem, our Indian innovation ecosystem, and large corporates, startups, and government and academic institutions working in partnerships. And I think there's a lot of exciting things that are going to come in the coming years. And with that, I wish all of you the very best. And thank you again for having me speak here for a few minutes. Thank you for your attention, patience. Jai Hind.